All right, we're going to move on to our fourth notes video of 7.2. This is page 8, and this is again a skill that we've dealt with in the past. In fact, we dealt with it right at the end of Unit 6. So these questions are going to seem very, very familiar to you. However, at the end of Unit 6, a question like this would have had the directions to just factor. Given that either we have x equals -3 like the guided example as a solution, or down at the bottom we say that something like x minus 3 is a factor. And you were able to, hopefully, at the end of Unit 6, be able to complete a problem where we were using that information to factor something that had a third degree polynomial, where the largest exponent was a 3. Here, the question doesn't change a whole lot, or excuse me, the information doesn't change a whole lot, but we have, and I'm going to highlight this in purple, solve, okay? And there is an equals 0, okay? So we're going to get to that kind of new step here, but it's a state the given 0 and the factor, just like we did in Unit 6, so we're going to do that. Where is that given 0? Well, it's right here. X equals -3. They literally just gave it to us. X equals -3. Now, if it was a factor of like x minus 3, it's going to be the opposite of that sign. You'll need to deal with that below. Okay. The factor that would come from a 0 of x minus of -3, take the opposite of that. So the factor would be x plus 3. Okay. So we stated the one that was given to us. They gave us a 0, which means they gave us this factor. Okay. What we're going to do now is we're going to divide by that, and we're going to use synthetic division to do so. Okay, so we're going to put a -3 up here in our box. We're going to list our coefficients of 1, 5, -2, and -24. Those came from the coefficients here, 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 and here on all of our terms. We're going to synthetic divide just like we have. We bring down the 1, we multiply. We add. We multiply. We add. We multiply. Now remember, just like one of those test questions on Unit 6, the way we would know we did this right, given that this is a factor, is we shouldn't have a remainder, and we don't here. The highest exponent we saw in the initial function, x to the third, we take 1 away. This is going to be our x squareds, our x's and our constants. This would be our remainder, and there shouldn't be one. Okay? Which means the factor that comes from this, or the result, would be 1x squared plus 2x minus 8, and that's going to join with the factor that we already knew from the given information. You can pretty much expect, when we get down to this part and we have this quadratic in one of the factors, that that's going to be factorable as well, and it is. So we're going to factor that to our two binomials. X and x multiplied by x squared. We have two options for the 8. 8 and 1, 4 and 2 in this case. With the middle term being 2, I'm going to choose my 4 and 2. It's a positive middle term. I'm going to make the bigger number positive. I'm not going to forget about my factor that came from up top. And then remember, we highlighted the word solve and that we had an equation that was equal to 0. That's our last step. Whereas in Unit 6, the directions were factor, and we stopped here. In Unit 7, we go ahead and solve these. I actually should have written an equals 0 still on both of these. So we're going to use that 0 product property to solve. We're going to set each of those factors equal to 0 separately. And we're going to get our 3 solutions of -4, 2, and this one we already knew. So I don't know if this is something that you want to just kind of grab the x equals 3 from above and not really worry about this factor a whole lot. But really, if we're doing proper math, when we factor this and continue with our equation, that x plus 3 should still be there. But we already knew we were going to get a solution or a 0 of -3 because it was already given to us in the start of the problem. All right, so a skill we had in Unit 6, one little additional depth piece to it where we're solving instead of just factoring. And again, this should hopefully be just a refresher. Why don't you continue on to the individual practice and check in with your teacher when you're done.